All righty, greetings, class. How is everybody doing? Welcome to week 7.
Buddy, man, I could have sworn we just started week 1.
I know.
All right, Thomas, you have a question or a statement or a confession that you love cauliflower now.
Well, I don't love cauliflower, but I do appreciate it. About 30 years ago, I worked in this restaurant and they would serve a whole head of cauliflower, I believe covered with mustard and cheese, and they put it in the oven.
Roasted it.
Huh?
They roasted it?
Is that, well, how did they prepare the cauliflower beforehand? Do you have to boil it or something?
You don't have to.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, they might have just blanched it a little bit and then put all that on there. And then, because the steam. But honestly, I would have just roasted it.
Yeah, because you run the risk of getting it waterlogged if you're blanching it. And then if you've got a huge pot of boiling water and you go really quick and then let that bad boy hang out to dry for a bit. Otherwise, it's going to be too wet and it's going to take a lot longer to get any type of delicious caramelization around the top.
So you could cover it with the mustard and cheese and just throw it in the oven and.
Oh yeah, might want to make it, put a little aluminum foil over it just for it to steam. But a couple of restaurants that I know were doing that kind of
30 years ago.
I don't know if they were trying to slap the blooming onion, the whole blooming onion craze. Because remember when that started, it was just like, oh my gosh, you could, everybody was serving a blooming onion, it seemed, in their restaurant. So a lot of them started doing different things. And I remember that being one, because I remember I had some and I was like, wow.
Well, it's a nice presentation. And this was 1987 or 88 in a white restaurant. So it wasn't like Ruby Tuesdays or Applebee's. It was a white tablecloth restaurant. So, but yeah, I just wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, like I said, I've always said I think cauliflower is probably the most underrated vegetable and one of the most forgotten, because a lot of people, broccoli and cheese, broccoli raw, broccoli. I mean, just broccoli all day. And then you find good recipes for cauliflower. It's like, there you go. Norman, what you got?
I could probably say this, being like that weird kid growing up, I actually chose cauliflower over broccoli any day. I would not eat broccoli at all. People would have to force me to, and I'm just like, you want to either see the trash can or you want to see me happy. And then half the time I got, either beat because not eating. I mean, wouldn't say getting beat, I'd get in trouble. Like, don't eat your food, you can stay at the table for like 10 hours. I was like, sit there. I'm like, all right. But yeah. I could say I like this week's assignment besides, the way, besides that cauliflower puree, I didn't like that.
Well, with the puree, one thing I found that if you season it properly, and that's one of the bigger things. You kind of got to season your cauliflower before you puree it. So, or even while you're cooking it. But
it was okay.
I think most people have been using that, they put that down and then kind of stick their steak to it, remoulade, and so then that way you get a little bit of everything. So it's kind of I had one child thought it was mashed potatoes.
Exactly. That's actually what Chakwana just said in the chat. We talked about that last break. It's like plum puree. It's smooth, it's silky, it's loaded up with cream and butter. I mean, I actually like doing a mix of potato and cauliflower puree just to if somebody's trying to go lighter on carbs. And you get some vegetables, but you still get all that extra creamy richness from the potato starch.
And you throw that butter on top. It's like, kids don't know. Kids, more than anyone, eat with their eyes. So they're just like, until they taste it. And then if they don't like the taste, it's totally different. But I had a friend that used to trick her daughter into eating liver, because first time she came to the dining facility in the military, we had pepper steak. Roger's going to be laughing here in a few minutes because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Pepper steak, thin sliced steak, noodles, and peppers. Came to the dining facility. She loved it. Oh my gosh, pepper steak, pepper steak. So mom went and made pepper steak, a little salt and pepper. Here you go. Noodles, peppers, here. It's like, oh, it's pepper steak. She's like, tastes a little different. Oh, well, the steak is a little different than what we used at the dining facility. Oh, but you know, she kept eating it. Tricked her into eating liver. Which, you know, was kind of, I thought it was kind of cold-blooded, but hey, as long as you, exactly, if you're preparing the liver correctly, it's delicious. Chef just said that, but it's hilarious, which gets us into this week's wonderful presentations. So let's go ahead and get started with that real quick, because we got a lot to cover and we've got a little bits of time. Let me pull up my okay. All right, so this week is nose to tail cooking. Now, some people might wonder what that is, and then others are going to be like, nope, I worked on a farm. I know exactly what you're talking about. All right. On the pig, I don't think there's parts of the pig that people don't eat. But when we think of animal protein and common cuts of meats, our mind always go to what? Give me something.
Bacon.
We go to bacon. We go to what? Ribs.
Pork chop.
I mean, pork chops. There you go. We get the legs, thighs about the chicken. But what about the rest of the animal?
Feet.
All right, there's that, right? Pig feet.
The ears.
Cheeks,
Pig
guanciale,
ears.
guanciale.
Yep. Beef tongue. We got a little bit of everything.
Ham hocks.
Okay. Ooh.
Got the snout.
Susan jumped in there. Ham hocks. Because ham hocks go in what? Go in a nice little pot of greens. That's what my grandmother used to always put them in, right?
A lot of beans.
So what we're going to talk about today is the offal. OFFAL, not the not what like the people like to refer to it as awful, because it's not that awful. We're going to talk about the liver. We're going to talk about the different internal organs that can be used. Can anybody tell me? Okay, so we got, you know, like kidneys, tongue, tripe. Can anyone tell me what is the only external offal meat?
Brain,
The tail.
brain.
No, brain and eggs is good.
No, external. I
The
think
tail.
Norman said it though.
The tail.
Norman said the tail. We got it.
Yep,
So
oxtail.
did Bryn.
That is the only external offal. All right. So let me pull this up real quick and we'll run through it.
Class, I also want to just jump in here and think about who here likes hot dogs? Who's ever eaten a hot dog? Do you like that?
Yes.
Love hot dogs.
What about sausages with a good snap on it?
Yeah.
Well, guess what, class? You probably don't know this, but you've been eating offal all the time when you're eating hot dogs or sausage with natural casing. We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yes, all your life you've been eating offal. You know, even what was the kid back in the My Baloney Has a First Name? I wasn't really sure what a lot of that was made of. All right. We can look at the week 7 to-do list real quick. You know, watch the live sessions. For those who aren't here, hopefully you're watching the archive. Do your knowledge checks, your conversion knowledge checks. You got a Pate and Rie assignment, and there's some other stuff too that we're going to go over. But right now we're going to talk about offal. OFFAL, not the AW. AWFUL. It technically refers to the internal organs or entrails, which most people didn't learn that word until, what was that? Men in Black 2. when they shot the alien and he had some entrails on him. But the term offal has expanded to include more non-traditional parts of animal. Some offal dishes are considered gourmet food, believe it or not. Includes foie gras. How many people like foie gras? I'm not even putting my hand up because I ate so much in one of the classes in culinary school because we ended up going to a farm where they had it and they just, oh, here, try this. And it's like, it's the same thing, but duck liver, it's good, but just a little too rich for me. Pate and sweetbreads. Other offal dishes remain a part of traditional regional cuisine and can be consumed, mostly on holidays. Common types: liver, tongue. How many people have ever eaten tongue? Cow tongue. All right. And it takes a long period and it's a slow cook. So for those people who have no patience, don't ever try to cook tongue because it's going to take a while. The heart. Anybody ever had heart? I've tried it. Kidneys, same thing. Other different types, sweetbreads, which I actually got tricked into sweetbreads because somebody, oh, you want to try a sweetbread? Oh yeah, I'm thinking I'm getting a Danish. No, it wasn't. It's the thymus gland of a calf. And I was just like, I had already said I'll take it. So it was on a plate, tried it. Wasn't one of my favorites, but you know what? I tried it. We got tripe. Make tripe sausage. Just, I mean, I've seen so many different things made out of tripe. It's not even funny. Oxtail. One of my friend's favorite foods. He'll spend all kinds of, and I'm telling you right now, I think they're up to almost like $100 a pound now. And there's no way in the world I'd pay that much for any food. But beef and veal cheeks. They're technically not awful, but they're increasingly popular. And pork heads are used to make head cheese, which is also not really one of my favorites. Now, for this assignment, please pay attention because I don't want to get 400 emails asking me, Chef, do we have to make both patés? No, pick one. So you can either make chicken liver pate or you can make mushroom pate. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to get a couple of converts. I know I'm going to get a couple on this, but pick one, make one. Most of the people that picked mushroom last time didn't like the mushroom. The mushroom you have to season. Make sure if you make the mushroom, you season it. Okay? Season your pate. I had more chicken liver converts than I had mushroom likes. Your crackers that Chef Catherine is about to go over the recipe. They're homemade. Okay? Here's the thing. Keep the sizes consistent, but yes, they can look homemade. If you want to cut them into triangles, if you want to cut them into rectangles, circles, doesn't matter. There's only several things that you need to remember about the crackers, and Chef Catherine is about to go over them, and we're going to drill it into your brain because honestly, for your crackers to come out, you really need to keep the sizes consistent and the shapes. All right? Chef Catherine.
Hey, yeah. We've got some people already saying, oh, I'm just going to do the mushrooms. You can, but I would definitely suggest giving it a go, making a half recipe and seeing if you like it. Guaranteed somebody would be more than welcome to taste that chicken pate.
Here's the thing. Everybody who says I don't like liver, throw that out. Just throw that out. Chicken liver is a lot different than just regular liver. For one, flavor, taste-wise. You prepare them both the same way by soaking them in milk. And you do need to soak them in milk 24 full hours. And I'll leave it at that.
Perfect. I agree. If you don't do the full soak, you're not going to pull out all of the impurities. So the important thing to remember, class, when we're working with offal, all right, especially liver, it takes a lot of preparation. Remember, these are oftentimes organs, heavy organs that are doing a lot of processing, working on getting rid of toxins. They can taste very iron-like mineral. So the purpose of soaking these livers in milk is to pull out some of that blood. You'll find that after 24 hours, your milk that was once white is now going to be pink if you let it soak appropriately, the appropriate amount of time. Okay, this pulls out a lot of that metallic flavor that some people find off-putting. Okay, this will mellow that out. It's going to chill it out. Plus, the addition of spices is going to really just round everything out. So let's just hop in and check that. Well, since we're going with it, let's hop in and check that recipe out first, since we're talking about liver.
And to be honest with you, I have made so many different chicken liver pâtés. This recipe, the spices in this recipe are phenomenal.
Very delicious. Very delicious.
I think I've only made one other one that tastes either as good or better than this one.
I hear you. Definitely, chef. It's the spices that really transform it and balance that offal. Again, a lot of offal needs some help, right? To pull out
the cloves and the ginger. I'm like I said, I'm gonna throw my hands up. Those two for me. And it does say a pinch. Give it a nice pinch.
Healthy pinch.
Healthy pinch.
Yes, exactly. It's going to round all that out. So we're going to start off with about 1 pound of chicken livers. Seek these out. Sometimes they can be in the frozen section if you don't live in an area where they turn over quickly enough and not utilized. So check the frozen section ahead of time. Make sure you're thawing that out, because remember, then you're going to need an extra 24 hours of soaking. Before you before you get into the soaking section, you're going to want to make sure that you trim the fat and sinew. All right. So that's any of those little white areas or tough areas. You just want that goldish, that beautiful red, healthy looking liver in there. Okay. You're going to sprinkle that with a little bit of salt, cover that with milk. Okay. Put a label on, cover that with saran wrap, plastic wrap, or throw it into a container. Label, date that, store that in the fridge, 24 hours. Okay. At least, you want at least 10 hours, 24 is ideal. Okay. But you definitely have to go overnight. Anything less than 8 to 10 hours is just not going to do the trick. All right. So once you've gotten that out, you're going to drain those off. Okay. After that first milk bath, as we like to call it. So the milk bath, you're going to drain those out. Let them get that excess milk off, and you're going to saute the onion. All right, we've got onion chopped. Make it some, you're going to end up pureeing all of this, but if your blender isn't strong, use that knife to do half the work. Chop that up nicely. Okay, nice and finely. All right, you are going to saute that until tender. No color. Here we don't want color. All right, remember, there's different types of sauteing or browning. Right? We don't want browning in this. We just want a nice, clean, neutral, sweet onion flavor. No bitter notes coming from that caramelization, okay, or excessive caramelization. Add those drained and rinsed livers along with your herbs and spices, which included your salt, your ground cloves, ground ginger, nutmeg, white pepper. If you don't have white pepper, use black, and dried oregano, okay? You should have the ground ginger and ground cloves on hand from baking during the holidays. Usually those are pretty common. Remember, check your pantry, class. We don't want you running out and going and buying extra containers of these. Save those dollars. All right. You are going to brown the livers lightly. You don't want to cook them too hard. You just want them to get nice and slightly pink in the center, so they're fully cooked but not tough. Okay. Cut one of them open. Make sure if your first time cooking liver, cut one open while you're cooking. See what the cooking process is like. Understand the timing, okay? You're going to remove those from the heat, let them cool, and then you're going to process the spiced onions, the spiced livers and the onions in a food processor or a blender, okay? Next, you add the cream cheese. and process again. We want to get this nice and smooth. Again, texturally, you want to get a smooth, nice pate. There are rustic pates, but we're talking about something completely different. If for some reason you don't have a blender or food processor, you can make a rustic puree, excuse me, a rustic pate, but the texture is going to be completely different, and you're really going to need to use those knife skills. Okay. Then here comes the fun part. You're going to add a splash, about a half to 1 ounce of brandy, Madeira, or port. Now, let us make this clear right now. This is optional, okay? If you, for some reason, cannot find a small bottle, you don't have a bottle at home, a little bit of white wine will do the trick too. And if another option, if you do not consume alcohol, or you're looking for an alcohol substitution, this is on the class page, both me and Chef Eric. These are how to substitute alcohol for food. This is a great reference point. You want to substitute, you need a recipe for beer or ale? We've got an idea. Bourbon, boom, it's here. Creme de menthe, keep on going. And you'll find you've got port, wine, sweet sherry, or fruit flavored liqueur. All right. A little bit of that can help, a little bit of a touch of some neutral, juice, just to give you a little bit of sweetness. Or you can go down to, I believe this had the sherry or bourbon again, a little bit of non-alcoholic extract to get those vanilla notes. And again, some type of fruit juice, orange or pineapple juices can help. So those are options if you're looking for a non-alcoholic version. All right. Otherwise, get a little mini bottle or take a little splash from what you've already got on your stash. All right. And hit that in. Again, blend, sort of combine, taste. Then you're going to pack that into a container. Now, you want to think about presentation. All right. You're going to be you have two options. You're either going to serve this in the ramekin, right? You can put it in a ramekin and serve it right in there. Okay. Or put a mold, put saran wrap, plastic wrap in a bowl, pack your mousse in there, and then invert that, take it out. You've got a nice little form if you want that instead. If you wanted to put it on a charcuterie board, which are huge, huge money makers, guys and gals. Remember, we talk about class, we talk about making a profit as well. Charcuterie boards make a ton of money. Offal, oftentimes extremely inexpensive, and you can transform them to high-end products and make a big profit on it. Okay. Think about what the cost of livers is for a pound, and then think about what you can sell, how many servings out of this chicken liver pate you can get, and what you can charge for that on a menu. Yep. All right. Start thinking about this, right? Next, the important thing here, we do want to make sure that you are chilling this again overnight. So this is a couple day process. All right. So be prepared. Start planning ahead. Don't wait until Tuesday to get this project going. You're gonna end up being late. All right. As it sets, it's going to firm up. It's going to be kind of liquidy when you put it in at first. It's going to be a little bit more, fluid. After sitting in the fridge, you're going to show us another spoonful of it so that we can understand that you did let it set, because especially if you taste it when it's not even chilled, it's not going to hit the spot. Okay. Not going to be there. Norman, I see your hand up.
Yes, I have a question about the livers.
Yep.
So you said you could find them frozen, and if we can't find them, like, I guess like the other meats that are like would be like chilled, I guess. So let's say we're like doing it on like Friday. Would we have to wait a day to let those defrost, then wait the day until we'll be able to start till that Sunday?
Yep. If you're getting them frozen, you're going to want to thaw that out properly in the fridge.
But we could do the say if we can do the other recipes, like,
yeah, go ahead and get the other one started. I would highly suggest breaking this week up into a few, because you're going to make 5 different recipes. Okay.
Actually, everything that you're making in this assignment, the crazy thing was last class we had was right around Thanksgiving. So the charcuterie boards that Chef Catherine's talking about, there were like 3 caterers in our class who actually added these to their charcuterie boards and their menus, and they were making big money. And the funny thing about it is, all you have to have is one word on there. Doesn't matter if chicken liver's on there. When people see pate, automatically the price goes up. I don't know what it is about pate, But and this has been since, I'm talking about since this, like, since the 70s. And people have been doing these simple chicken liver patés. Like Chef said, you put a little plastic wrap in the ramekin, press it down. I mean, I remember I had a chef that used to, he'd put a piece of cardboard down and then we'd have to put weights on top. So it press it in there real tight and he'd leave them in the refrigerator. And it's like, what's going on? He'd pop them out, put them on these, as you see what Chef Catherine's showing you, charcuterie boards. And a little tiny, he used to buy these little tiny knives and, oh, okay. And you just see people over there, they get the crackers, which you're making homemade crackers, a little pate. And he would charge like $50. I'm talking about, this is back in the 80s. He was charging $50 for one of these boards. And I know good and well it wasn't even costing us maybe $10 to make these things. I mean, he'd get the, how many people get the Hillshire? Is it Hillshire Farms? Yeah. Hillshire Farms has the little smoked meat packet, meats and cheeses during the holidays. Things cost like $10. And he literally was taking stuff out of that, slicing it up and making charcuterie boards. And I'm like, dude, seriously? And profiting $40. And these are just little ones for like little office, like some big bosses coming in town, and a little charcuterie board for like 7 people. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. But everything you're going to do this week for this assignment can go on a charcuterie board. And let me let her finish with these.
And you'll be able to make quite a spread. Get yourself some cheeses. If you drink wine, get yourself a nice wine and enjoy, dig in, maybe invite friends over or family, depending upon what you've got going on, and enjoy. Like I said, some fruits are nice, dried fruit, nuts, toasted nuts. You already learned how to do toasted nuts in week 1. You could add those, some cured meat. What's that, Chef? Oh, the Duca. Yeah, tons of fun to add. The rillettes as well. And now remember, the other thing is, when we're looking at a charcuterie board, we want to make sure that we have acid, right? Fat, pickles, everything to cook it, plus a neutral base. That's where we're going to go hop into these crackers next. We're going to talk about these neutral crackers. These are very simple crackers, but really delicious. The thinner, the better. Okay. Like Chef Eric was saying, homemade, we're going to look a little bit off, but we want them to be thin, not thick. Okay. So 3 cups of AP flour, sugar, salt, fat, okay, olive oil or melted butter, your choice, water, and a little bit more of fat for the top of it. You're going to want to make sure you start that oven, get that preheated, okay? Line 2 sheet pans with parchment paper. Sift those dry ingredients, okay? Sift those, and then add your wet ingredients, your fat, or melted butter or olive oil, and water. You're going to mix until combined. The dough is going to be a little bit tacky, but it should not be so tacky that it is sticking and coating all of your hands, okay? What do we do if our dough is too wet and sticking everywhere? What's the answer? What's the remedy, class?
Throw a little flour down.
Get a little flour in there. Exactly. Perfect. Okay. If it's too wet, you add flour. If it's too dry and it's really just not mixing, add a little bit more water. Okay. Sprinkle it in. Put your hands in a bowl of water. Sprinkle that in just like this. You don't want to dump water in. Okay. But a little light sprinkle is going to adjust it. All right. Next, let that dough rest a little bit, okay? You're gonna have much easier time rolling it out to nice and thin if you let it rest, okay? Give it a solid 10-15 minutes. Let it just chill. Remember, we're talking about gluten development, right? If you try to roll that out really quickly, it's gonna react and it's gonna pull back. Let it relax. Then you're not gonna be fighting with the dough, okay? Divide that dough into 2. Sprinkle a little more flour on your workboard surface and get to rolling, okay? Roll that out, nice and thin, 1/8 of an inch. It is not 1/4 of an inch, it is 1/8 of an inch, okay? Next, you're gonna brush a little bit of that top of that dough with either some more olive oil or a little bit more melted butter. Either way will work, okay? Now, the next step here, cut into desired shapes using a sharp knife. You can have some fun with this. However, I highly suggest rectangles or squares. As soon as you start getting into like using cookie cutters, you're gonna have these little small pieces that burn. You do crack triangles, the 3 corners are going to burn, okay? It's just the nature of the beast. Until you get really proficient with dough making and making crackers, you're likely to go over, okay? So cut that into nice, equal, uniform shapes, and then, very important, prick the crackers with the fork. This is called docking. Who's ever had a club cracker? Who's ever seen a cracker in a store? Did they have little holes in it? Why do they have holes in it? Why do we think?
So it wouldn't rise in the oven when you
So
bake
the
it.
dough can breathe.
Yep, both of these. So it doesn't rise crazy, and so the dough can breathe. So you don't just get a big old puff, right? Those little holes allow steam to escape, reducing uneven baking and big bubbles. Okay, that's not what we're looking here for. Okay, just dock it. You don't need a million. You don't need to go crazy with the fork and go all nuts. Okay, a club cracker has 6 on it. All right, take your cracker, look at the size of it. Okay, I'm gonna put in, and make it look nice. Don't go all psycho killer Halloween batch on it, hacking at it. Just nice and organized, dock it. Okay, it's called docking. You also do this with pie crust. Okay, so that you don't get a bubble. Thinking about these. All right. Next, this dough is a little bit difficult, so have a scraper and transfer that, or a spatula, a pastry scraper or a spatula to help transfer. So you get still a nice shape. Transfer that to the parchment lined sheet trays. Okay, and do not overcrowd the pan. Now, what you're going to want to do is also make sure that you are checking on your crackers. I suggest going in and looking at 6-7 minutes. Okay, your bake time is 12 to 15. So go in and take a look at 6 to 7 minutes. See how they're progressing. Okay, if you notice that the backs are getting really dark and the front are not, open the oven. Take your pan, your towel. Take your pan out. Flip it over. So now that the back side is in the front and the front side is in the back, this is going to even out your baking time. Ovens have a tendency to have hot spots and uneven baking. Seen a lot in that in the gratin so far. Okay, it's okay. You got to get used to this. An oven isn't perfect. It's gonna heat unevenly, just like the granola, right? You're gonna hear these repetitive themes that we're telling you. Flip this out. You're gonna get better end products. It's gonna be more even. All right. Now, again, go back and check that at that 12-minute mark, okay? Or if you notice that things are getting a little bit browner quicker, check it at 10, all right? You gotta keep an eye on your crackers, okay? You want them to be golden brown. You want some color. You don't want raw flour flavor there, okay? Getting that toasting adds more depth to it because these are really simple. It's just flour and water, a little bit of fat right now, and a touch of salt, okay? Transfer those, once they've got that nice color, transfer them to a cooling rack, and make sure that they are completely cool before you even start to think about transferring them into a container to store. Otherwise, they're going to get soft and you're not going to like that because all the steam is going to stay in that box. All right. Make sure that they're completely cool. They will crisp up with time. So if they're not feeling like they're totally crisp when you pull them out of the oven, they should still crisp up after they've chilled. Okay. And there we go. Does anybody have any questions regarding the crackers?
The 2 main important things are what? Thin, roll them out thin, and dock.
Bingo.
Because I had several people rolled it out nice and thin, didn't dock, and they whoop, puff up. All right, we got Norman first.
So with the dough for the crackers, you said let it rest. How long exactly?
Let it rest at least 10 minutes.
At least 10
Just
minutes.
give it time to relax. Let it, let us take its shoes off. Let them get comfortable. Let them grab the remote. It's kind of like when you come home from work. You don't want somebody just, the minute you walk in the door, hey, I need you to do, no, let me relax. Give me 10 to 15 minutes by myself to just relax. That's what you want to do with your dough.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Samara, what's going on?
Nothing much, Chef. My question is, can we add like flavorings to the crackers?
Oh, see, here we go. Here we go, Chef.
Nope. If you
Okay,
want
fine.
to make a batch after you've executed this, yeah, go ahead, have some fun. we need the recipes followed as is so we can give you feedback. If you want to add some, extra black pepper into that, you want to split up half your dough and do some black pepper so you have black pepper and salt, awesome. Remember, we are creating this pate and the rillettes. We want you to taste those. We don't want the crackers to have a ton of other flavoring agents. It's either going to fight with the pate and rillettes, or just not what you want. But is this an adaptable recipe? 100%. But that's for either splitting that, half the dough or some fun at a later date.
Okay,
And
thank you, Chef.
the best suggestion would be, if you wanted to do something different, split the dough. Split the dough or make 2 batches. Now, and the reason I laugh was because last class we had a cracker competition. And we had several students that it was a lot. Like when you open up someone's assignment and they got 40 pictures in there, that's a lot of crackers. And literally made all different types. But for the taste, and especially because that pate, the rillette, you're going to want to taste it on I won't say blandest, but on the most neutral cracker possible. And then, yes, you can go all out. You can make some with the sesame seed, everything. We had one student did a full charcuterie board. We were just like, okay. So, but yes, make sure you do the recipe as is, and then expound. Always.
Okay, thank you, Chef.
No problem. LaSalle, what we got?
Yes, Chef. My question was, when I'm baking my crackers, can I add kosher salt before it comes out or at the end?
I would if you want to add a little extra salt on top, I would do it right as you're going in, because then it's just going to bake. Like once you've brushed the oil on top, just take that, a nice little sprinkle, voila.
Thank you, chefs.
Great question.
Thomas. Yeah, and that's one of those questions that somebody else might have wanted to ask.
There's a good question. I've been meaning to make this recipe, and it looks like the same thing, but they roll the dough into a parchment, into a cylinder, and slice it.
Yeah, I mean, it will be a different, that's going to be a different, the dough is going to have probably a different consistency. You can do, just like you can make like sugar dough cookies, you can roll that out nice and flat, or you can make a roll and slice. But it has to have the right texture and consistency when you're cutting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to cut into that dough and it's going to squash.
Right. Well, broad strokes is what I learned. But I was looking at a cheese cracker recipe, and they say roll it, and it's very similar. They just add cheese, but I will follow this recipe and roll it out.
Cheese crackers are a lot easier to do because it's giving a lot of body and density into that, and your actual texture of a cheese dough is going to be very different from this stuff.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Elizabeth.
Hey, kind of weird situation. There is no cream cheese in the city where I live. We haven't been able to get it since before Christmas.
Yep, the cream cheese issue.
Yeah, we use
ricotta will not do the same.
What about creme fraiche? I mean, is it too wet?
Creme fraiche is too wet.
I mean, I've made chicken liver pate a lot of times, and I usually use butter.
If you switch in the amount of butter for this recipe, it's going to be way too fatty.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You're looking at 6 ounces. That's almost a whole stick of butter. It's going to ruin this.
It's going to be coating your tongue.
Add butter. You're going to have a bad mouthfeel. Again, I would see if you can, has it anywhere else nearby you can find some. Otherwise, ricotta that you then hang. So if you can find ricotta, you can take ricotta, you can put in cheesecloth and let that drip out so it's not too wet. And it has a touch of graininess. Ricotta tends to have some graininess to it,
Yeah.
but it'll give you closer,
Closest. Yeah.
you
The
know.
only, the only thing that we have in the stores, I went to 4 stores today. The only thing that they have is the vegan cream cheese.
I mean, you could try it, but I bet you that usually those products are pretty expensive for, you know, what you're getting. And it's pretty funny because you'd be using vegan cream cheese.
You don't have a Walmart near you?
They don't have, Walmart's out.
No way.
Yeah.
No, there was a
Yeah.
major cream cheese shortage. Where are you located, Elizabeth?
Augusta, Georgia.
Okay, yeah.
Walmart's out of cream cheese. Then yeah, y'all are out of cream cheese.
Yeah, we haven't really been able to get it since before Christmas.
Yeah.
What about,
All those people making cheesecakes. That was the problem.
I'm telling you,
what
man.
about Swiss cheese and milk?
Gonna be grainy, and you're gonna
Yeah.
have this all this other flavor coming in from this the Swiss cheese
Well,
flavor,
yeah.
right? Cream
Plus
cheese
your
and Dakota is
Swiss-
super neutral.
And your Swiss is really oily too.
Mm-hmm.
Once you cottage cheese. Mm.
I'll
Mm-mm.
keep looking. I'm actually going to Nashville over the weekend, so maybe I can find some up there.
I bet you'll have good luck there. Fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, if I can't, I'll get back with you.
Take
All
a
right, deal.
make sure you take a cooler.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Just load up. Thomas, did you still have another question or?
No, I was commenting on that last one. Last Christmas, and I live in Atlanta, and I'm able to get it through Amazon, but Philadelphia cream cheese was paying people not to make cheesecakes last Christmas.
Yep. Yep. So massive supply chain issues, guys and gals, due to COVID, whether it's laying off a bunch of workers who normally would be producing or waiting on certain ingredients that ship from elsewhere. It's basically just a bottleneck. And some factories have really slowed down. And apparently a lot of people are eating bagels. I know, I thought about when I saw that, I thought about, man, why aren't, this is the moment for the tofu cheesecake. Tofu also has a similar consistency to cream cheese and it's extremely neutral. But you know, that's that.
Well, right now we can't get English muffins. So there you go.
Exactly.
But I'm able to get cream cheese through Amazon, if that helps the previous question.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
Good to
go.
know.
Yeah, I can check that out too.
Perfect. All
I got some
right.
last week.
Let us hop into the mushroom pate. These are for all of you who either cannot find chicken livers or are cannot eat them for health or religious reasons, or you really, really, really just don't want to have some fun. I'm going to say it. Remember, being a chef is about understanding flavor profiles. What if you roll into a restaurant one day, they're like, oh my gosh, we just had all these livers come in. Let's do some specials. And you're like, oh, well, I don't touch liver. I don't even know how to make it. Right. So think about it from your learning expense, your education perspective. That's what I always suggest.
I had it happen. That's what I'm glad you said it. I had it happen. Chef, I need you to whip me up something quick for we have the CEO is coming in, and I'm, you know, I don't get razzled when the big bosses come in, but of course your administrators and other people will. So I went, you know, I'm like, well, I'm not using none of, you know, nothing that I have planned on the menu. I'm not just going to cook up, you know, a big old tenderloin so that you can entertain 6 people. So we had some liver, and I used regular liver. I didn't even use chicken liver, and made a little charcuterie board. And he thought it was the best thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, you just ate some liver I couldn't get rid of. Thank you.
Exactly. It is a great way to move product.
Exactly.
Save the money. All right. All right. So mushroom pate alternatives. All right. You're going to need some butter, olive oil, chopped garlic, chopped shallot, and 1 pound of fresh mushrooms. Your choice. I highly suggest a nice combination. I personally like either cremini or portobello, gives a little bit more depth of flavor, but button mushrooms do the trick as well. Also, here's a tip. If you can find them whole, buy them whole. Buying them already that have been sliced and in the package, saran wrap with browning already, you're just not getting the best quality product. Remember, that's been sitting there for a while. Get fresh ones. Let's check for the gills. Take a text on it. If they're wet, don't buy it. Okay. Look at the quality of the mushroom. If you're new to mushrooms, reach out to us if you have no idea how to purchase mushrooms. Button, plain old white mushrooms, or portobello or cremini. Okay. Those will do the trick. Cremini and portobello are basically the same things. Just baby bellas are small. Little baby bellas are little baby portobellas. All right. Next, dry sherry. Again, if you don't have dry sherry, we've got that alcohol substitution list, or a little bit of dry white wine will do the trick. All right. Even a hit of stock can do the trick for this. Okay. Cream cheese, again, only 1 tablespoon on this one, and chopped parsley, salt, pepper, and crushed red pepper to taste. Okay. So what you're going to do, get that butter in the pan, and olive oil, heat over medium low heat, and get that shallot and garlic going nice and soft. If you cannot find shallot or it's extremely overpriced, buy a sweet onion. Do not waste the money on the shallot. It's going to change your flavor profile, but we're talking about crazy times. Save your pennies, right? Think about what your cost is overall. Okay. About 5 minutes. Add that crushed red pepper. Cook another minute. Add the mushrooms and the remaining olive oil. Okay. Now, this is where you really want to make sure that you are developing that flavor. Okay. Mushrooms are full of water. The more you cook them, the more the water is extracted and the mushroom flavor is concentrated. Okay. Cook those down, stir it up, get them moving, develop some color. You want that liquid to be steaming off and coming off that skillet. Okay. That saute pan. Next, you're going to hit it and deglaze a little bit with that sherry or dry white wine, salt and pepper, and cook for another 10 more minutes until that liquid is again reduced and evaporated. Remove from the heat, let it cool, and we hop into the food processor. Get it going, add that parsley, pulse until that's finely chopped and incorporated in, add your cream cheese, and get that nice and smooth. Again, place it into a container and let it sit overnight. It's gonna firm up, its texture's gonna change, okay? That's what we're looking for, a change in texture. That's what we're gonna be looking for when we look at your photos as well. Any questions about the mushroom pate? It's pretty much the same recipe with different ingredients.
And you'll notice
Norman.
There's not as much seasoning, which is why we said the texture and flavor is going to be a little bit different, but it's up to you which one you want to use.
So I had a question about the mushroom pate, and of course, I'm gonna try to do the chicken liver one, but while I'm out, because I already have all these ingredients, literally just standing by in my kitchen, just stuff that's just been in there, still fresh, of course, because they've been recently purchased.
Okay.
Could I make these like what's it? Not for like the assignment because I'm gonna choose chicken liver, like for like to try it to see how it tastes, because I'm not really a big fan of mushrooms, but with the pate, it makes it sound like
Give it a
sound
go.
like
I
fancy.
always, like we're saying, expanding your profile. Maybe you'll find out that you like mushrooms in this form, or the flavor profile is better. So I would say go for it.
One of the other things, and another reason why you might want to make both of them, is because if you, like I said, are put in that situation where, oh, hey, I need you to make me a charcuterie board. You can have a chicken liver, because you're always going to have that person at the party that's like, I don't really eat liver. Boom. Okay. Well, I have a mushroom pate. So you can put both of them, one on one side of the board, one on the other side of the board, offset, and have everything else in the middle. So they have a choice of 2 different pates. And you can also do what? Now that you got pate on there twice,
Increase
raise the
in
price.
Increase value.
They don't need to know it's mushrooms. The one you would do want to put mushroom pate, and then the other one you just put pate. But increase the price. For everything you put on that charcuterie board, price goes up.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Mikael, I was wondering if you were on the road. Mikael, what's going on?
Can you hear me, Chef?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm in a different area today, and my internet service is going in and out. So my question is, I heard some chef captains say alternatives. So which ones are the alternatives, and which ones do we actually have to make out of the recipes this week?
The only alternative is if you cannot or do not, for some reason, want to do chicken liver pate, you do the mushroom pate. That's the only switch out.
So it's actually just 4 recipes this week, not 5, because the devil make the alternatives.
Oh no, everything else has to be made.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
4 with an alternative of 5.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No
Welcome.
problem. Elizabeth.
Hey, there wasn't a video for the mushroom pate in the research materials. I think I already know the answer to my question, but once it's made, we're just forming it off in a crock, just like we would with the chicken liver.
You got it. You want to, again, let it sit before, refrigerate overnight before serving.
All right, cool beans, thanks.
You're welcome. All righty, let us hop on to whole grain mustard. This one is super fast, super easy, and super delicious. If you are used to yellow mustard, right? That old French's yellow mustard, you don't know what's coming for you. Whole grain mustard is a new level, okay? When you get that. This is going to take that up 10 notches, okay? It is going to be potent. You're using fresh mustard seeds, okay? Whole mustard seeds for execution here. Let me pull this up. I lost it. And we're going to get in here. All right. What do you need? What's that, chef?
This is another one where people are going to stop buying it and start making it. Watch.
It is unreal. I have some sitting in my fridge right now. It lasts a while too, up to 6 months stored in an airtight container, which is great. Apple cider vinegar, distilled white or white wine vinegar. I personally would steer away from the distilled white. That is not what I cook with. All right. Unless I'm making pickles, I do not use distilled white wine vinegar. Distilled white vinegar. Use white wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar, and not the Heinz apple cider vinegar. A higher quality, a one with the mother attached. It's going to be a better flavor. Distilled white wine and distilled white vinegar, distilled apple cider vinegar is really sharp and really aggressive.
Heinz is just, yeah.
It's like
accurate. Like Chef said, mothers, if you got mothers attached to it, it's perfect. Trust on this one.
Yes, definitely. It is worth the investment. Also, this does make 2 cups, guys. So if you can't and you don't want to make a full recipe, please make a half recipe. Okay. It's going to reduce your costs as well. Also, in search of yellow or brown mustard seeds or a combination. Okay. My suggestion, if you've got an Indian store nearby, go there. They're going to sell it in a big pack for like $3 as opposed to buying the teeny little one for $3. All right. You're going to save a lot of money. All right. Because it can get pricey, that whole mustard, if you're buying in small containers. You also need water or a beer of choice. Chef, what type of beer are we using for this?
Well, an IPA would know. Look, get you some Budweiser or get something with some flavor. There you go. Something with a good, nice flavor. A stout, whatever your favorite beer is. If you don't want to use beer, please, you don't have to. Use water.
Water will do the trick.
No Kool-Aid. No, you didn't say Bud Light. Did you say, Jasmine? Okay, look, you know what? I'm already
trying to get us on the edge of the seats.
There you go. Dos Equis. There you go. Bud Light? Like, what? We're taking points off your grade just for that comment.
Oh man, watch out. All right, so
you're what my friend said about Bud Light.
flavor profile. All right, so you're gonna let this soak. You're gonna take those mustard seeds, put them in a bowl, combine that vinegar and water or beer, the mustard seeds, and you're gonna let that all sit. Okay, overnight up to 24 hours. Okay.
If all
On
you
the
can find
counter.
is yellow mustard seeds, just use the yellow.
Yep.
If you can find both, do a combination.
Either way. I will tell you, the first time I had freshly made mustard, I literally had no idea what hit me. I felt like all of my senses had just opened up and I was taken into a new level of consciousness. I'm not even joking. It was with a freshly baked pretzel. He had a honey mustard and a whole, I mean, it was heavenly. All right. So I'm just saying it's sharp. Okay. That, remember, you're going to have a whole new level of freshness coming through. So after that's been sitting and soaking, you're going to see that those seeds have plumped. You're going to take out half a cup of that mixture or whatever, if you're, reducing that by half, a quarter cup of that mixture, so that you have some of the whole grain mustard still in there. Take the rest of that mixture plus the sugar and salt. Okay. Brown sugar, 1 tablespoon and a 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and process either in the blender or immersion blender. Get that nice and smooth. All right. If you can get it smooth, then you add in the rest of those whole mustard seeds. You're going to have a really beautiful consistency. If you can't get it fully smooth, that's okay. Still add the rest of those whole ones in and you're going to be good to go. Again, place in that airtight container and allow it to sit at room temperature for 1 to 2 days. Okay. I've oftentimes put it in my fridge, but it takes a lot longer for it to develop that flavor. Okay. If you put it directly in the fridge, if you leave it out on the counter, it's going to develop that spiciness quicker. Okay. But it is going to become fragrant and spicy. Label and date that, and you've got homemade delicious mustard at your fingertips.
Best thing to do with the mustard is make that first. Like Chef said, make it 2 days before you're going to make everything else. So this is a process. If you were going to make this for a charcuterie board, you actually, if you need it on Friday, you want to get started on it like Saturday, because you want to let that mustard sit out, get that flavor, get that pungency, and then you put it in the fridge, and then that's done. And then you get started on everything else. You got to let your chicken liver soak overnight. Let that sit. Make everything and then as it gets done, all you got to do on Friday is unwrap, boom, 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 lay everything out, and you're done.
Assembly. That's what you want to be at the end. A charcuterie board should not be something that you are making the day of. Everything should be prepped and ready to go so that it's just assembly.
Oh, yeah.
It's also a breeze. Okay. You have all your products ready. It's just making it look pretty.
Wait till you have a banquet at a restaurant. You're not going to be doing stuff the day of. You're going to be, everything's going to be done. Hey, Roger, I need you to go ahead and I need you to go ahead and skin me some or roast some peppers. Roger's going to be sitting there with a whole case of peppers over the fire, putting them in a little plastic bag, letting them set, taking the skins off. I might have him doing that on Monday, because whatever I'm going to do with those peppers, whether I'm going to pickle them or whatever, I'm going to need to have those ready so I can start that on Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's all a process. Mustard seeds, what was it?
That's okay, Melissa, as long as it doesn't say yellow, but they're just mustard seeds. Any mustard seed, as long as they're whole, you're good to go.
Yep. And as far as the beer, you Roger, I'm telling you, Roger tried to start some trouble. I said you could use any beer except for Bud Light. He said near beer. For those who don't know, near beer is, it's not beer. It's what some of us used to drink in like junior high school.
But it will work. It will. Near beer does work.
It actually has a better flavor. It has a better flavor than Bud Light, though.
Yeah, totally. Go for it, Roger. You're good.
Yep. So, and like I say, just whatever you can find, use. The next thing that Chef is about to go over, I'm telling you what, you may say, oh, I don't like the ingredients. When this is done, take your pictures first. That's all I'm going to say, because I will not accept the chef. I made the Rie. I set it in the refrigerator. I came home and my boyfriend had eaten all of it. I will not accept that as an excuse this time. It happened.
Exactly.
It happened last class. Boyfriend and husband got, woo, yeah, they were in trouble.
I
And
can imagine.
They ate most of it, like literally. I think she had just enough for like a couple of crackers. She was pissed.
As you can see, this is sorry, what, chef?
So can you soak livers in almond milk? For the chicken livers, use whole milk. It's the enzymes in the milk that pull out the impurities.
Plus, you're going to add all this type of, if you look at the ingredients, I highly suggest you all start looking at the ingredients at the back of your products, right? If that almond milk has any bit of sugar in it or notes of flavors, it's going to completely change the flavor. And like Chef said, the enzymes are not going to do the job. So just use regular old milk.
Yep.
And save that almond milk for drinking or coffee.
Yep. 2 and 1 do not have enough of the enzymes in.
So these are rillettes, okay, or yeah, and also known as potted meat, okay? You'll see that there's fat placed on top. This is because, again, a lot of offal and charcuterie is for storage, make a head in storage. You make this head, you put the fat sealant on it, and you have, just naturally sealed this in and preserved this. So I just wanted to give you some visuals to understand how far we're cooking this down and what we're doing with this. What is the end goal, what we're trying to get? It becomes like a paste almost, okay? That's what we're looking for. So when we hop into this recipe, pork butt, we need a pound. If you can't find pork butt, get another nice cut of pork. All right. If you don't eat pork, reach out to us. You can make a salmon rillette. You can make duck rillette. Lots of options, but you want to make sure that you have the right meat to fat ratio to execute this. If you don't have enough fat in there, it's just, you're going to need to keep on adding water, which is fine, but you're going to want to add a little bit more fat in there if you have a really lean cut of meat. Okay. Large dice, not huge chunks, large dice. All right. Again, attention to knife cuts. I'm still seeing a lot of errors in this class. There's a reason we're in culinary schools, to work on your knife cuts. Again, you go out into the industry and you don't know how to do your knife cuts. What's the chef gonna think? Where did you go to school? Did you even learn your knife cuts? I'm just saying, I'm just gonna say how they're gonna say it, okay? They're gonna be straight up like that, because we need to be paying attention to our knife cuts. All right, it's really important. You can waste and ruin a whole lot of product when you don't do things correctly for a recipe. Also, it's gonna take a lot longer to cook, and this already takes a few hours. Okay, so again, this is another longer, the recipe looks intensive, but it's quite easy once you get it going. Large dice on that pork butt, 2 tablespoons of fat, your choice, duck, bacon, lard, butter, veg, or canola oil, whatever you got, we got it, all right? Add the fat, heat that slowly, and add the meat and let it brown lightly. Again, lightly, we're not searing, okay? Lightly brown it. We're not looking for that delicious golden brown, super hard Maillard reaction that we're looking for on those chicken thighs from arroz con pollo and etouffee. We are looking for just a nice brown, okay? A gentle brown. Next, you're going to take a half of an onion, stick your onion like you did for the bechamel or mornay. Take your cloves and stick 2 of those cloves in that half of an onion, okay? And the bay leaf. You can even stick that bay leaf in. If you do a thin knife cut in there, you can stick that bay leaf right in. All right. And throw that in there. All right. Your thyme sprig of thyme, or a 1/4 teaspoon of dried, and water. Okay. You cover that slowly in an oven or on the range, very low heat. Okay. Low and slow is the key to this. You don't want to seize up that meat. It's going to take a long process because this is going to get extremely, extremely tender. Okay. Again, this is going to take several hours. Check it occasionally. If it is out of water in there, add more. You don't want this drying out and burning. Okay. That's a huge waste. So make sure that you've got enough water in there that they're not, you're not making soup, but you are making enough so that that meat cooks down. Okay. If it needs any, add a little bit more. Then take out that bay leaf, the thyme sprig, the onion, the clove, and drain out this meat and juice. You're going to have a huge, separation of fat and some liquid there. That's what we're gonna wanna see, okay? Collect that fat and dripping, okay? You're gonna put a little pressure on there. Get all of those juices out because you're gonna process this, okay? You're gonna start shredding that meat with 2 forks, okay? Get at it. Remember, if you're struggling with this, put it back keep cooking it because it should not be hard to shred this. It should fall apart quite easily, okay? Otherwise, you can put it in a mixing bowl with the paddle attachment, right? That's the large paddle attachment, and go on the low speed. It will break it down for you as well, okay? Especially that's more for a larger quantity, but you can do it in this case as well. You think about ease, right? Am I going to shred 50 pounds by hand with 2 little teeny forks? No, you're going to throw that in the huge mixer and break it down nice and fast, okay? Once you have, take out some of that fat that you've been cooking down, right? You're going to separate the fat and the liquid after you strained it and add that fat into the shredded meat. This is where it's going to rehydrate and be a bit of a preservative here. Taste, add some more salt and pepper if needed, okay? Make sure that you've got this nice consistency. Again, we've just seen photos of this, right? What we're looking for should be spreadable. Maybe it's going to look a little bit more like this. That's okay. I prefer, this is again, more rustic of a rillette as opposed to a smoother one. Okay. That's really gotten broken down.
Yep.
Okay. Anywhere between those 2 stations are good. Those 2 hits. All right. Hopping back, pack those into crocks or ramekins, smooth the top, and add a little bit, I like to add a little bit more fat on top to seal it, but you don't have to. Again, there's the photo, right? We saw that of this one that had a huge fat cap. That's really for longer term storage.
Yep.
You don't need to do it for this one. I wouldn't even, you don't have to waste your time, but if you have extra fat left over that you're not using for, going to use for something else, put a little fat on top, it'll be fine. Don't add just the liquid though, all right? You want to just make that sure that's the fat. Yeah, it has here, it says, if it's going to be kept for more than 1 to 2 days, seal that from the air. All right. Again, that's just so it doesn't get crispy and dry. Refrigerate overnight. Take that fat cap off before serving and enjoy. Spread that on some crusty bread, on your crackers, some nice pickles, a little mustard, and go to town. Any questions, Mikhail?
Chef, what did you say the other alternatives of meats that can be used?
Oh, you can do duck. Duck rillettes delicious.
Salmon.
Salmon.
For anybody who, that you want to stay with a meat, you might want to go vegetarian route. Jackfruit is really good. I had a student that did that last class. But yeah, the 2 that I'm normally, when I make it, I normally either do it pork or I do duck.
Yeah, pork, duck, salmon. If you're
Duck
going, yeah, duck is amazing.
You can do chicken, but don't.
Yeah, make sure that if you do choose chicken, make sure that you're getting enough fat in there and make sure it is thigh meat, not white meat.
That is your biggest problem because it's going to be dry because everybody wants to try to use, that meat looks like a chicken breast. No, chicken is just, it's dry. So
don't do
like
it.
I say, yeah,
Use the thighs.
Yep. Any other questions? Do you have another one, Mikhail?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you good. Norman, what you got?
So for the pork butt, so I was looking up. Apparently they're like really big. So do they have small ones? Or
each store is going to be different, but if you talk to the butcher or the person on duty, some stores do have a butcher, but if they have, see if you can get a smaller cut.
Okay.
And that's why we were like, if you need to use pork chops, if you need to use another cut of pork, please find a smaller one. We don't want you going out buying the gigantic. one that a restaurant would buy,
Unless you've got the funds and can then break that down into other pieces and freeze it and use it for another application later.
Yep.
And you won't waste.
Yeah, I ain't trying to do all that. I'm just
Or
trying to get
unless
a
you have your own
small-
catering, if you have your own catering business, then like I said, you can add it to the menu because trust me, you will. When you taste it, you're gonna be like, "Yeah."
So this is supposed to be a pate, like
It's a what?
not. I mean, it's just gonna be like, what's the word? I said the wrong word. It's gonna be like canned tuna, kind of look alike in that
It's-
form.
I would say it's more like a chicken salad sandwich
Mm,
or tuna fish, but better tuna fish because it's not a whole bunch of mayo. That fat, trust me, when you taste it, you will understand what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to put into words because some people look at it like, oh, I don't want to eat all that fat. And trust me, when you taste it, I'm not going to get up here and preach, but I could. Because like I said, I don't know how many people that were like, oh my, I had a student call me. Oh my God, chef, I thought you were lying. It's like, I haven't lied to you yet. I have not lied to you yet by one recipe. Why would I lie to you about Rie? I'm telling you, your Riettes, trust me. I'm gonna leave it at that.
already, thank you.
Roger, what you got for me?
I had a question. What part would I use for the duck? And you said the ratio for the fish will be the same 1-for-1.
Yeah, one pound of fish should be good. Make sure.
And then my other thing was, am I thinking this is the same thing I ate when I was a kid? Like almost like what do you call it? They would call it pottage meat or whatever.
Yeah,
process
actually.
it, because I would always want to, you're a kid, you don't want that fat that's sitting on top. So
But
I was just, that makes
it's better than any potted meat you've ever tasted.
But that is what it is, but you got to take
Yeah.
that fat off. I agree. That's why the recipe says,
and it's
take-
probably not
once
as
it gets cold, pull the fat cap off.
Yep.
So which one would you recommend if I don't do the pork, the duck or the fish? The duck or the salmon?
Oh, duck,
Which one?
duck,
Without a doubt, duck.
duck.
And you
I mean,
and you
salmon
said it
is
doesn't
good,
matter
but there's so many
the
other
part-
things you can do with
or the pork.
duck. I would use duck breast.
What you said?
I would do a duck breast or duck, or you know what? With the duck, it doesn't really matter because the meat is going to be tender and the fat is what's going to set it off differently with the duck. But I mean, you can do a duck leg or thigh, but a good duck breast prepared well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what
How does duck taste, Norman?
Thank you.
You need to go to a restaurant that serves really good duck, and I'm telling you, you'll stop eating chicken. It's expensive though.
Yeah, it's quite expensive.
That's the only
You
problem.
can get a good deal. I used to get a good deal on whole ducks at the Asian market.
Yes.
Again, I lived in Chicago, so it was easy for me to, hop on the train and go to different areas and get the best price, right? Remember, you're thinking about cost constantly.
Oh, yeah.
You get a whole frozen duck, $24, the whole thing, $24. That is a screaming deal. Thaw that bad boy out, right? Then break it down. Ducks have a lot of extra fat. Break it down. You can get 5, you take those 2 breasts off, right? When you prepare duck breast, by the way, got to know how to do that, render out that fat, get that fat nice and skin nice and crisp. And that duck breast should not be overcooked, just nice, medium, beautiful, still juicy. The legs, you can confit those. That's what I would actually suggest.
Yes.
We've got a confit recipe in week 10. If you go for the whole duck route, take the breast, do this, take the legs, freeze those and save them for your confit. And then take that extra fat, you're going to render that out, but take that whole carcass and make stock, and you have a gorgeous duck stock that you can have some fun with.
Yep.
Just saying.
The flavor is just amazing. Rudolph, what you got?
All right, just one question, Chef Catherine. I'm sorry. How much water are we adding to that meat? Are we covering it or not covering it?
You don't need to fully submerge it. You need some water in there. right? So, you know, halfway up on the meat, like as if you're braising, is gonna be 3/4 of the way. You don't, again, you don't want to fully submerge because it's just going to take too long. You're going to have too much liquid, but you're going to want to make sure that you keep checking on it. Okay, maybe I need to add a little bit more water. You just don't want that. You don't want it to
Dry
reduce
out.
the OSAC. You still need it cooking and going for that whole time. So you're going to want to keep checking up on it. Great question. Class, any other questions? Because if you don't, I'm gonna run because I've got another class that I have to go teach. But
Yes, Chef. One question is the pork butt roast that we have to cook. Am I ahead of myself? Is that week 8? This is Mary. It's a pork butt, a pork loin, or something we have to cook.
we've got that right here this week, Mary.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
cool.
okay. I went shopping for this week. I just haven't submitted a lot of stuff. So my question to you is, I still got them thin pork chops. I don't eat pork. So is there alternative to use beef butt?
Yes, you can make beef rillettes as well, but we just talked about this. You can make duck or salmon as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a pinch, chicken thighs, but if you can find some beef and do it, you can make potted, beef rillettes as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
very well. Rillettes. Okay, thank you.
The main thing you have to, if you're using any alternative other than duck, or you're using the pork, you have to make sure that fat, you got to keep checking on that and make sure you have enough fat in it, because a lot of the other meats don't have enough fat. That's going to be your only problem.
So will we add lard to it? Lard to it to make the fat if the beef don't have enough fat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Norman, what do you got?
So I want to try to be as accurate as I can to be specific, because I'm pretty sure you've noticed recently I've been turning everything in like a few hours till everything's done. But
That's
it's
cool.
I mean, I've gotten everything before I usually do it. It's just the fact of being able to always have someone to help me with certain stuff and everything. So to be exact, to start before like the weekend, so like sometime like tomorrow or Friday start.
Absolutely, I would.
Okay.
Start ASAP.
Yep.
I'm ready. Thank you.
And like I said, first thing I would make, the first thing you should do is soak the mustard seeds. So
Those
soak the
are dry
mustard
mustard seeds or whole? Where you can, like,
Mustard seeds are
fresh?
dry. You
Yeah.
purchase them dry
They're whole.
and whole.
Yep.
Okay.
So get those, get them soaking. Remember, stay away from the Heinz apple cider. It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
Mother's is best, has much more smoother taste. And I'm telling you, when you taste it, if you are a mustard lover, you will never buy mustard again.
I sure am. I put mustard on
promise you.
everything.
Here you go. There you
Mustard
go. All the
seeds,
different
if you
types.
don't know them. Now you do.
If you have a Whole Foods near you, you can check and see. They might have black mustard seeds. Whatever ones you use, you can do a combination. Just make sure you soak them. That's the main thing.
And just don't use yellow, like Chef Catherine said.
Well, no, you can use yellow.
Oh,
Yeah, you can use yellow. If that's all you can find, yeah, use yellow. If you can find different types, use a combination. Yep.
All right, last
Okay.
question, Tamara.
Chef, my question is, when is the deadline for us to turn in past assignments?
Oh, that was this week.
Tomorrow, you and I have a different
Look.
situation, so just send me a message and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Glad
Thank you,
that
Chef.
you're located now. And class, one last final thing. We're on the second half of the program of the course, so let's rock this out, pedal to the metal. Don't stop till week 12. And if you are in my class, you will be hearing from Chef Patrick as well, as I am taking over another class. I'm going to have some help with grading because I'm going to be doing double duty. So if you hear a friendly Italian chef giving you feedback, that is Chef Patrick, and he's
He
a
is-
rock star.
he
And
is
any
great
advice
guy.
that he gives you is going to be great. If there's any little hiccups, which of course can happen when we've got some transfers going on, just let me know. We'll make sure everything is okay.
That's it.
All right, Chef, thank you.
Let's get it
Class.
rocked, let's get it rocked out. Let's make these dishes. And like I said, last thing you should be worrying about to actually make technically is the crackers. So figure out everything that you need, how much time you need, plan it out. All right. So first thing, mustard seeds, everything else plan out. All right. You all have a great week. We will see you in study hall, those who show up. And if you bring your questions then, and everybody should be soaked by study hall.
Or soaking, yeah, in the process
Soaking.
at some point. So let's get it going and we will see you then, class.
Bye, Chef.
Good night, everybody.
Everyone have a good night.